So honestly, I wasn't going to touch this topic in video form for multiple reasons. Due to comments on a repost I posted of Kirk speaking about how black people, black women especially, are incapable of having brain power, how he'd make his 10-year-old daughter have a baby if she was raped, how it was acceptable to lose lives to protect 2A. Also, how empathy is a new thing for the woke or some shit. Someone really, really close to me questioned my integrity, moral character, and basically mental health because I, as a black woman, wasn't sad, I guess, because of his passing. Again, obviously, I am a woman who is happily black, and I am very educated. I am everything that Kirk hated. He wouldn't have pissed or spit on me if I was on fire. And that's what blows my mind. How am I in the wrong for looking at this man and acknowledging him by his fruits and his hateful rhetoric and not need to feel to need to lay down in a puddle of tears? Why isn't the hate and the ignorant misinformation he spread, which obviously created more hate and more violence, because the good book tells us that you reap what you sow? Why wasn't the things that he said and believed more upsetting? I have never had any hate for him or wished harm on him or anyone, but he clearly hated me. Where's the outrage for that? I also didn't want to do a video because everyone and their mama and them has made multiple videos about this, and I personally was tired and oversaturated by all of this, and I thought it was being covered extensively enough. But I'm making this video to explain to anyone who doesn't understand why me, mental black ass nomad, isn't shedding tears for someone who was delighted by my oppression and subjugation and would spread lies to make it so. I did not choose to play the video with Kirk, ever. I saw him for his fruit again. He wasn't for me, personality wise, and he literally was not for me. To be honest, my discernment instantly put me off of him, even before I heard him talk. I actually made a video in response to another far-right racist right before Kirk was killed, and I was this close to mentioning Kirk in my video because he was one of the ones saying the quiet part out loud and proud. When I first saw the news that Kirk had been shot, one of the comments said, "There's no way he made it." I was still confused on exactly what had happened. I scrolled on because the story was everywhere. I quickly saw the video and watched it a few times, and I immediately noticed how accurate the shots were, as I quickly found out that he had passed. As a person who quickly and loudly identifies my feelings and emotions, I realized that I wasn't heartbroken about this news, even though I was shocked by this video because it's shocking. Who wants to see that? I actually sat and thought about the fact that I wasn't sad. It's confusing, right? Because who I am at my core is empathetic, caring, supportive, loving, and kind. So it was weird for me to be in a mental and emotional place where someone was killed and my emotions were kind of drawing a blank. And not for the reasons of people arguing in the comments. And I strangely was not desensitized, like I've said before in a video too, about how America seems to be desensitized to gun violence. I obviously do not support violence of any kind, especially political violence. As much as I disagree with him because he disagreed with basically my existence, it is not in me to wish bad on anyone. His disgusting speech was his right, and I was not raised like that. So then I see one comment about a school shooting. I want everyone to know that I had to search and search and search for at least 10 minutes before I could find any news outlet or anywhere that had even mentioned it. This was also horrifying and shocking to me also. Then I see that Trump has what I can only describe as a dystopian FDR style fireside chat about this. He said that Charlie was a patriot who championed justice and democracy. He named one government official who'd been hurt by the radical left's violence. I need to check on that. So right here, he blames this violence on the radical left. We don't even know who shot this man at this point. We don't know. But we do know is that the man who shot and killed Democratic State Rep Melissa Hortman and the man who targeted Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro's home, we know that the man who shot and killed the son of Obama-appointed Judge Esther Salas and the people who beat Nancy Pelosi's husband with a hammer and tried to kidnap Nancy, and also the men who tried to kidnap Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer, were all Trump supporters. And I need to be clear by using only the instances I just mentioned. It's clear to me where the violence is coming from. And by blaming Kirk's death on the radical liberal left is dangerous and will surely only incite more violence. And again, at the time, we still didn't know who shot this man. So back to the Oval Office address. He said a bunch of hateful stuff and called Kirk the best of our country. And how the assassin could not silence Kirk's voice because America is going to make sure it lives on. So more hate. He said one thing I agree with him on. He said that Charlie's voice has become bigger than before. Charlie was hateful, racist, and divisive. I've seen videos of the far-right MAGA crowd calling for a violent war against Democrats. They're following the messages of Kirk and Trump as they stoke the flames of violence. Even the J6ers that were pardoned are bold enough to be on the internet doing that. So Kirk's legacy is hate. And I'm just wondering if this is the first time in 2025 that Trump has addressed the nation like this. I think it's very telling that with the numerous school shootings we've had this year, and especially the one that we had that day, he didn't mention that. And that was very upsetting to me, because I understand the past importance and symbolism of this type of address. An Oval Office address is considered among the most solemn settings for an address made by a leader, and is most often delivered to announce a major new policy or an initiative, or on the occasion of a leader's departure from office, or during times of national emergencies like disasters or war. And before I continue, why the fuck are HBCUs getting threats and needing to be shut down and have police and FBI there? What do black people have to do with this? Please spread the word to leave HBCUs and all black people alone, because most of us are just minding our business like usual. I'm just saying, but a black person with a long rifle would stick out like a sore thumb anywhere, and seemingly especially in Utah, but at the time we still didn't know who did this. Another reason that I didn't want to address it, because yesterday was the 24th anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attack. 9/11 is one of the most solemn and important days of our country's history, and I wanted to honor that. But Trump decided to use this day to talk more about Kirk. He called Kirk a legend and hails him as the giant of a generation at the 9/11 ceremony. He also announced he will posthumously award Kirk with the Presidential Medal of Freedom at the 9/11 service at the Pentagon. The Presidential Medal of Freedom is the highest civilian award in all the U.S. He did all this while supposedly speaking at the Pentagon on the anniversary of 9/11. I think this was inappropriate, and I don't think the two events should be conflated. And I'll explain why. To conflate issues is to merge or blend two or more distinct ideas or situations into a single idea, often leading to confusion or a failure to distinguish between them. This fusion of separate concepts can obscure their true differences in relationships and independent characteristics, resulting in misunderstandings or an inaccurate perception of reality. We need to stop saying and believing that the gun violence that terrorizes our country, the nasty, ugly, hateful rhetoric, laws, and racism is not America. Because it is. That's what America is now. And all the gross things that are happening in this country, that's exactly what America is now. While I was very young in school, in life, I was always told that America is a land of immigrants. The American dream was always a thing. America was a melting pot, and that's what made America great. I have a young teenage child, and I asked if they were being taught the same things that I mentioned above. I asked if the phrases were familiar to her. They looked at me confused and said no. And so these are my thoughts on this matter. I pray that as soon as today, God will bless us in America and help us be the nation I was told that we were when I was a child. I would like to also thank all 911 heroes, the military, the first responders, survivors, victims, families, and I would also like to acknowledge Jon Stewart's efforts to help those people. Also, I just want to know, where are those Epstein files at? Where they at? Bye.